Hi, I'm Jamie Davis, the pod medic here at Innovations in Patient Care. We're here at EMS Today 2014, and I get to interview more of the EMS 10 awardees. And I have Scott Matin and Peter Dworsky. Get the names right?
Yep.
Oh, I did, finally. Okay, good. Guys, why don't you start with Scott, introduce yourself for us and tell us a little bit about your background in EMS.
I'm Scott Matin. I'm Vice President of Clinical and Education over at Monarch Mobile Health Services in New Jersey. I've been a medic for almost 30 years and kind of been in every aspect of EMS from the street to every management type role over the years.
Great. And Peter?
Like Scott, I'm also at Monarch Mobile Health Services. I've been a paramedic for 25 years. Spent about 18 years as a paramedic in New York City. Worked my way through the ranks as a staff medic, education, clinical, operations, director level. Currently, I'm the corporate director of support services for our organization.
So who wants to jump in and tell me about your award? Because you guys really did had some innovative research into how we run our calls. And you want to jump in with that, Pete?
I'll start. Over the last 10 years, we've really been focused on our employee safety and patient safety and the safety of everybody within our organization. And one of the low-hanging fruits that we were tracking every year were our motor vehicle collisions. We have a fleet of about 100 vehicles, 110 vehicles, and we track every aspect of collisions that we have. And we report on it on a monthly basis, and we've looked to create programs to reduce the number of collisions to make everything safer for the patient and the providers. And we've done the memos and the CIVO classes and the classroom things, and we said, let's come up with something a little bit different for our staff, something that is more dynamic as the times progress, to be more interesting, a little bit more dynamic. And we decided that let's have a video, and it's a public safety video designed for the providers, to show them really that while we all believe our sirens are exceedingly loud and they protect us from everybody, they truly don't. And we found that from our own research of investigating every collision that the sirens don't protect us. But in talking with the staff, they feel that it is the number one thing that will get the public's attention.
Wow. So what was in the video? What did you guys discover when you put this together?
Well, the funny part is we wanted to do the video really internally. And when we started getting going, and we really were going to do it off of an experiment, because we do a lot of research at Monarch, we realized that we really should incorporate the experiment into the PSA. So when we started doing that, we realized that we had a good hypothesis as far as the siren not being as effective as we think, but it really panned out that it's exceedingly less effective than anybody could have imagined. And one of the biggest problems in the end was that when it comes to the new vehicles that are nice and quiet and well insulated, that you have to have an ambulance with a siren right on top of that vehicle before they even realize there's an ambulance there. So they're really very, very, very little effect when somebody's driving along in a nice new car or on their cell phone or listening to the radio, have the air conditioning going. And we found that pretty much every time we did the experiment, the vehicle with the ambulance with the siren was right on top of the vehicle before they heard it. And so obviously it's not doing the thing that we think it should.
Now, how did this change what you guys do operationally?
It's raised our awareness, and that's probably the number one thing, because like every organization, we have policies, we have procedures, we all follow state law and guidelines, but this really raised people's awareness. And as people were giving us feedback from seeing the video, they're like, oh my, I thought they were going to hear me. And even when we would investigate previous collisions, that was always a common statement. I had my siren on. They didn't hear me. So now this is why they didn't hear you. So it's the evidence-based medicine that we're always looking for now in EMS. This is the evidence base of a procedure that needs to change. And the change is slow down, don't rely on a safety device because it's not working the way you think it's working.
Yeah, I mean, it comes back to when we go through our EVOC classes, we have to learn to drive with due regard, and that siren doesn't give us anything that's going to be this magic bullet that's going to save us from paying attention to traffic conditions and driving as if we were driving a private vehicle.
Correct.
Yeah, there's I think what really made us effective is that we used a lot of statistics that are backed governmentally as well as the actual research. Because a lot of times people put PSAs out and they say, don't do this or do this, but the reality is people take it as an opinion. And the reality here is that we backed it up with research, we backed it up with data. 10,000 almost 10,000 accidents a year involving an ambulance. It's some terrific numbers, and a person, dying every week involved in some ambulance collision, not necessarily the paramedic or the EMT, but somebody dying involving an ambulance. And these are horrific numbers, and that along with the experiment, I think, is what got people's attention, and that's what made us happy. We didn't really think of this as being such a video that would take off, but it really did, because people looked at it and said, wow, we've, for all these years, decades, we've thought, lights and siren, that's the way to go. And we also talked about the research about how, you're not really getting to the scene, or you're getting to the hospital much faster, and that was eye-opening, eye-opening. And we know that patient outcomes really haven't been affected by getting there a minute faster in most cases.
Yeah. So have you seen a change in behavior?
Yes. Just from the limited time that the video has been out, and our group that we can observe, which is our own employees, we've seen a change. And then because we're a two-tiered system and interact with other towns on a constant basis, we've seen them start to change their behavior practices. And we're having discussions where, the BLS ambulance that the paramedics are riding in now, their drivers are saying, do you want us to use lights and sirens? And so we've seen a tremendous shift. Not everywhere, but it's an educational process.
It's a process, right. Now, is this video available for anyone to see?
Absolutely. It can be downloaded off of our website, which is www.monarch.PSA2.CFM. Or if you go to our main page, there's a blue box on it that just says video, and you can just right-click on it and download it.
Great, and I'll have links in the show notes for that, so we'll have on our website, we'll have all of that information linked there too. Before we go, one last thought from each of you. We'll start with you, Pete. Why is it important for us to have awards like the EMS 10 Awards and recognition for EMS leadership and innovation as we continue to grow and progress in our profession?
Because I think the Innovation Award actually encourages people to try new things. Even if they're going to fail, it's trying, and that's what pushes the envelope of what we do. Because we honestly didn't know, for example, with our experiment, if it was going to bear out, but we were willing to do it anyway. And I think as we get recognized, we recognize our peers, they're more willing to step forward and sort of step outside the envelope and have a dissenting opinion to spark conversation and discussion to move us in a proper direction.
Scott?
I totally agree, and I also think that the idea behind awards, while it was an incredible honor that we received it, I think the biggest thing is that it brings attention to a particular item. So in this case, a lot more people have seen this video, or will see this video once it hits the magazine and the podcast goes out and all that. And the more people that it affects, hopefully the better the results will be. And while it sounds a little corny, if it saves a life, one life, it's that much, it's worth it. And so I think this really, the whole idea of awards really is an honor, but it really brings attention to a particular concept or product or what have you.
Great. Well, I agree completely, and I don't think it's corny at all. I think you're absolutely right. One life saved is monumental in its value to everyone, and whether it's a provider or a patient.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Well, congratulations again, and thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And I want to thank all of you for being here on Innovations in Patient Care. Remember to check out all of our other segments of the EMS 10 awardees that we'll have here on the show. You can find that over at mediccast.com/innovations. And as always, I'm Jamie Davis, the Pod Medic, reminding all of you to stay safe and stay tuned here to Innovations in Patient Care.